Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's vlog. I'm just gonna take a little walk with you guys in the woods. I'll make a video. Actually, I already made the video. I'll edit it together and get it up maybe next week, maybe the following week. Today I cooked a turkey I had in the freezer. I had it for almost 14 months and I was worried it might get some freezer burn, so I cooked it up. Pulled all the carrots out of the garden, all the potatoes, a good amount of corn, made like a Thanksgiving dinner, bought some other things, and I invited my grandpa over. It was a big 22-pound turkey. I made myself up some meals for the next couple days, froze a bunch of the turkey, sent him home with a big plate of turkey to make sandwiches, and the remainders are out here in the woods. We got a trail camera, and right here, we will see who will eat it. I'm figuring it'll be the raccoon. That's the leftover turkey. Nobody I know likes the dark meat, but I have two massive plates of it that I just froze, so we'll see who comes out. There's also a bunch of carrots and potatoes right there. We will see what creature comes and eats this on the trail camera, and I'm going to add that to the end of my cooking video, so I might have to wait up to another week for that trail camera to get something out here. Haven't seen the bear in 35 days. It's been on that camera. I don't even know if they're in hibernation or not. I'm assuming no, because they typically go into hibernation when temperatures are consistently below 40 degrees. So they still got maybe even another month. But I haven't seen the bear in a while. If I had seen the bear, I unfortunately would have had to just throw it out, because I don't want to be attracting them intentionally. But I love the raccoons this time of year. I keep hearing howling. Only in the colder months, the coyotes come near the house. I don't know why. They come to this area just for the winter. In the summertime, you'll never see one, never hear one. Or maybe it's just because it's mating season that you hear them all the time. That's probably why you don't hear them in the summer. They're probably still out there, but I've never seen one on the cameras in the summer months. But I'm happy that we got a raccoon friend that seems to be coming by regularly now. Happy about that. I've never really been afraid of walking alone in the woods at night. Although, if I'm walking alone, sometimes I can get paranoid out in the woods. But carrying a camera with you guys coming along somehow gives me more courage to come out in the woods at night. It's like being with someone when I'm carrying the camera. The only thing that makes me really uneasy in the woods, and I don't know why, they're usually very afraid of people, is when I hear a pack of coyotes coming closer. So this is the Pallet house. We got a trail camera there. That's the turkey's neck. We don't use that to make into stuffing. I never did it like that. And there's also a jar of jam that's that's been in the fridge open for like 8 months. And it says right on it, eat within 30 days and refrigerate. So it still smells good and everything, but it'll be kind of cool to see the raccoon go up there and maybe even knock it down, the jar. So we will see who comes here. Also, this area, I want to do a winter camp if this thing survives. So I'm going to stop putting food here for a while and get the animals not in the habit of coming to this place anymore. And in a few months when there's snow on the ground, I want to camp in here again. So it's got a steep roof. I don't think it'll crush, but if there's enough snow where it piles here and starts climbing onto the roof, it may crumple. So if I'm around, I got a shovel on the edges, which is very easy to do. I think we can get it to survive the winter. All right, everyone. So this is like my junk pile in the yard where I put scraps and things that I might need. Just took the tires. I had a stack of winter tires there. Decided to put them on the car early. I just put them on. It's now early October because I just had a blowout on... Well, it wasn't a blowout, but it was a big hole, and I found my tire flat when I came back out of the Home Depot parking lot, basically. It was not repairable, and they were also pretty bald. I was going to let them go until winter and throw them out when I put the winter tires back on. But I just put the winter tires on a little early, and then I'll get new summer tires come spring. Got a bunch of milk crates, which are awesome because you can give them give people vegetables and things in them, so I collect those. Look at this. There's a roof rake. Speaking of getting snow off a roof, that thing will come in handy pretty soon. This thing's very long. That's why I just back it into the woods. That pole goes about 25 feet. Got some fence posts in here. That right there is the bumper off the truck, actually, because I replaced it with a very heavy-duty military-looking bumper that will protect the car if something like a deer jumps out. And if I do get into a big crash, it should still crumple and, yeah, it should still crumple. So this right here, we saved from a job. All these gigantic beams. This actually came out of a barn, and yeah, I'm thinking I can use this for something. Take a look at that. 6 by maybe 10. I was thinking of using that for something. And I also have a ton of scrap right here from doing a porch. I think we can make that into some birdhouses. What do you think? That's what I plan on doing tonight, making some birdhouses maybe. Sorry about the flickering, the flash rate. So I'm thinking maybe we can make some birdhouses. That's why I saved all this pressure-treated scrap. Now, pressure-treated, when you get it brand new, it off-gasses, but birds, give it 1 year. It'll be nice and dry, and they'll have no problem with it. And here's a dog crate over here. And I'm not just holding on to junk. I use this sometimes, like when my mom comes, her dog will use this. It's just a little dirty. I'll just pressure wash it the day before she shows up. First thing I'm going to do tonight is pull the wagon out. Making some floor space. See all these triangles right here? Usually stuff like this we would just use as fire kindling. But these triangles all came from about 2 weeks ago, replacing the upstairs of the garage to make it strong enough to actually use as storage, if you see the new beams up there. So I was thinking to make these into a birdhouse. Now these are small pieces, so screwing into these, screwing them together may actually crack them because they don't have a lot of area to expand. So I was thinking, now they're not all exactly the same size, but maybe we can make some triangles that are very similar. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll actually look kind of funny if the house is a little lopsided, or you know what I mean. So just gonna take a bunch of them like this, gonna drill some pilot holes, screw these together into, 6 sides. I think we have enough to make 6 sides. And then there'll be boards again. Need 6 sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We might not have 6 sides, so we'll just take regular pieces of lumber for maybe the top and bottom. Yeah, we'll make something out of this. There's actually like a single coyote out in the woods right now. It's making like a sad cry, looking for its friends. It's just going, ooh. Can't be more than a couple 100 feet away. So, I don't really have a plan tonight. We're just gonna do some stuff and see how it goes. So, I just brought out some drill bits. I gotta go grab my screws off the shelf. I really love that star screws kind of became standard with doing trades, because Phillips, I did not like those, because you see with a star, it grabs on the inside and it turns it around. Phillips, if it gets stuck, it goes boom, 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 and this strips itself. But I've put thousands of screws in with this one bit, and it just never strips. That's what I love about that. Now these are just cheap drill bits from Harbor Freight, but they do very well on just wood. It says they can do metal too, which I've done, and I've yet to wreck it. This whole thing was like 16 bucks, and it is going strong. So I'll just use the drill bit. So we'll just drill some pilot holes and put this stuff together, I guess. It moved a little. Come on out. go. Now I'll just go put this down inside there. You see, I did the pilot hole just to make sure it wouldn't crack, because sometimes when you're putting stuff like this together, it'll crack because that one screw spreads it apart a little too much. Takes a little bit longer to do the pilot hole, but it's much better than cracking something important. This isn't important, but some things are important. You can also crack it if you sink it a little too far. But that's nice and strong. Nice piece of wood. I'm just trying to use up scrap. Just trying not to be as wasteful as we have been in the past. So put it together like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Good. Straighten it out. Perfect. This side is not perfect, but this side is. So one of these pieces is slightly bigger than the other. Nice. Now we just got to do that a couple more times. It's a nice, beautiful night out tonight. It's not as cold as it was supposed to be, the forecast said last week. It's like 60 degrees out tonight. It's about 10 o'clock. I believe it's the 6th of October tonight. Next week's supposed to be a little frosty a couple nights. A lot of people in my comments said I could maybe save the vegetable garden by watering it before the sun comes up. Because if you water it, supposedly you'll save it from the frost. Oh, that was kind of cool. It went whoom, 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 whoom. Like it slowed down when every time it hit a ring. Like it was a little bit more resistance. So yeah, this week, every single day is going to be in the 30s. I think starting Monday. Today's Saturday night. Yep, we have a potential for frost almost every single night this week. So that'll be interesting to see if we actually get it. See, the first time I did it over there was a little harder. I just got to go slowly, and then it doesn't slip when I go through them. Now, birds don't care if a house is perfect. In fact, they actually like them to not be that perfect. This is not pressure-treated wood, by the way. A bird doesn't care what you put together. It doesn't care if there's going to maybe be a big gap here because of this. It'll fill any cracks with its nest. And also, a birdhouse does not have to open in any way, like to clean it out. If a bird doesn't like the nest of the last bird, it will clean it out itself. I've seen it many times. That was an ear-piercing noise that just made. I do feel like if I wasn't doing the pilot holes, that we would have had a split. let's see, can any of this stuff go together as it is? Like, what could we make out of this? Do we have what we need to make a house? That's enough space for a sparrow or a finch. So what would be the best thing to do here? Maybe like that. Now we got a perfect square. I think we might put it together like that. And again, you see it's not perfect. We could put this maybe as the bottom, as the top. A bird doesn't really care. And then I'll have to cut one piece. No. I think we can make a house with just triangles, actually. It's not going to be perfect, but remember, a bird doesn't really care. Let's put these together and see if we can make a house with just triangles. I'm actually trying to replicate something my dad did years ago. I have a video called Lots of Birdhouses from like 5, actually more like 7 years ago on my channel, one of my first videos. And that video was every birdhouse we made. It was reusing anything from doll houses to big tin cans to see what birds would live in. Birds love wood houses. They don't care if it's painted. They don't care if it's pressure treated. But I learned they hate fake materials like plastic, metal. They don't like houses like that. It just doesn't feel natural. It's not that it heats up, but also they're not good insulators like wood. Now let's see how we can put these things together. So that was the best way, to like this, like that. This pattern I think is the best for what we're doing. So I don't think we'll split it. I'm going to try doing it without a pilot hole. Now, let's just do the whole thing the right way. Like that. Don't want to split it now that we've done all that work. Now, these are big screws. It does not need that many screws. Honestly, the triangles, I probably only had to put them on one side for it to be secure enough. Alright, so the next one is going to go here. And like I just did, we probably only need one screw right here. Here is more likely to crack near the edges. So try it again. Alrighty. One last piece here. See, it's not perfect. Maybe this smaller piece will. Yep, that one goes a bit better. When you're woodworking, it's all about your patience. Like this here, I could put it together faster, make it look more horrible, or I could take an hour and make it look fantastic. I made a picnic table a few weeks back, and I took my time. I made every edge, like I think you call it beveling, with a table saw. Now this will be the bottom piece, right here where it barely even holds up. Or maybe you could put it on like that so they have venting. I think I'm going to do it like that. A bird will plug those holes, so that's not a problem at all. It also allows a little bit of airflow in there to the bird. Just finding whatever side seems to sit the best. The bird doesn't really care. Just want it to sit the best. And it's kind of cool how this thing's all triangles. You know, honestly, you know what I maybe should have done? I maybe should have spray painted half of them like white or red, something, so you can actually see the triangles more clearly. But that's okay. This thing will naturally weather, and the birds will live in it at some point, maybe. I say maybe because when I lived in the city, birds would live in anything. They were desperate. There wasn't a lot of trees. But here in the woods, I have so many birdhouses I built. Nothing ever lived in them. Actually, a squirrel chewed one just to make himself fit inside, but then never lived in it. Yeah, if you got squirrels that chew the opening of your birdhouse, put a piece of sheet metal on it, then drill the hole again. Now they can't chew it. And we'll go hang these up some random spot in my woods, maybe tomorrow. Good. Now, we got to do one more thing I'll show you. Right back here. And you don't have to do this. When this is on the tree, you could just drill sideways through it and put some screws. But I like to do this. First, I want to figure out what side do I want to put the hole on. Which is the best side forward? I think this is the best side forward, so this will be the back. We put this here on the back, and I'll show you. Most of you probably know what I'm doing already. Now, birds are not stupid. If that point is somehow in the birdhouse, it won't affect anything. Now that we did that, now you use this to screw onto the tree. You have a big spot, this easily, a screw on the top and the bottom, right onto the tree. And that's kind of beneficial. It really doesn't matter, but this is pressure treated, the part that's going to hold moisture against the tree so it won't rot. Now we got to go get a nice hole saw. All right, everyone, I'm back. So this is not a hole saw. I believe it's called a spade bit. So this size right here, 1 1/8 is what you want for songbirds like chickadees. Also, wrens will use this. But this is actually an uncomfortable size to a sparrow, and a lot of sparrows are actually too fat to fit through the hole. Now, sparrows are a fun bird. We feed them a lot, but they are an invasive species. This is what's preferred by a sparrow, 1 1/4. If you have a hole that's 1 1/4, the sparrow will probably live in it, and it'll be competition between the birds. Now, certain birds, like a songbird, big hole, it'll feel vulnerable. It might not want to live in that. But a sparrow, something like that, will live in just about anything. So today, I think we'll just try doing a small hole. Usually I use the bigger bits, but we'll just do this. Maybe we'll get something like a songbird or something cool to live in it. But like I said, in the woods, not many things actually will live in them because there's so many natural hollow trees, nicer spots they can find. So now the next birdhouse we're gonna do with some of that scrap pressure treated wood, which is still pretty wet, so we won't be needing a pilot hole again with the next house. Now, we'll just drill right through the middle. Eyeball it as best as possible. It's not a perfect house. There we go. 1, 2, 3. I hit the screw. It's okay. It'll go through it eventually. Now that's not a great thing to do with a drill bit if you can avoid it. I did that by accident, but we did go through one of the screws. It's okay though. Now, maybe something will live in this house. It's not a perfect house, but it's a free house with scrap. And it does not look that terrible, especially being way up in a tree. Who's even really going to notice? Give it maybe a year. This is going to fade, weathered look, and it's just going to blend into whatever tree we put it up in. Now, like that. And this is how it will go onto the tree. Just 2 screws. Tomorrow, or even tonight in this vlog, maybe we'll walk out in the woods and find a tree to put it on. Simple as that. That makes it super easy. Prefabricated, bring it right out. And I'll have to sweep up the floor when we're done. Now we're gonna go try to make a house out of some random scraps. And this one will actually take a couple measurements and make it look a little more decent than that one. Now we gotta get our big miter saw down, and I'm just gonna put it in the entrance of the garage and blast the sawdust outside. Not too heavy. Back out to the wood pile. Just taking a few pieces of scrap. Maybe we can make a big birdhouse for something else with these large 2x10s sometime. But this should make a house, just these couple little pieces. Alright, so I got my ear protection on now because that saw is very loud. And I'm just gonna take a couple measurements. Start off with a couple of random measurements, and then we'll go from there. So the first ones I'm going to do, I'm going to take 4 inches, 8 inches, and then we'll go ahead and the next ones, instead of 4 inches, we'll make them 6 and 12. And then once we make a box now with that, we will cut something for the roof. And this one I'll give a little roof overhang, you know, to keep the rain away from the hole. And some people like to put a perch for the bird in front of the hole. A predator can actually sit there and pick out babies and stuff. So that's why I don't build them like that ever. Unlock the saw. It's got a little light. It's kind of cool. Cut them up. Learned something new. I was eyeballing it, trying to make it perfect, but this light, the shadow of the saw blade, is actually making a line that's perfect, and I just lined it up with my mark. Yeah, this saw makes this stuff way easier. Now I said I wasn't going to need pilot holes with this stuff, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'll crack. We'll see. But I had nothing else to do tonight, so we'll make a couple birdhouses. I don't think it's going to crack. We'll give it a try without pilot holes. There we go. Now I want to hold it while it goes through the rest of the way. go. And it's starting to crack, but it's fine. This is very wet wood because it's not that old and it's pressure treated. Now this house will look a little more uniform since I'm actually measuring it. I'm being a little more nitpicky with this one, I guess. Like I said before, I probably right now could get away with just one screw on each side. So this is being overbuilt. Yeah, this one I gotta just push a little bit to make it perfect. There we go. Nice. There, pretty nice uniform box. Not 100% perfect, but pretty nice. All right, this is actually, I like how this is looking. So, I think that's a 45. I'm gonna make another 45 for the roof. Do it this way. That's different. So it'll have a little overhang above the door. Never built one like that before with a point like that. But it was already half done for me, so took the idea. Not gonna go insane with screws on the roof. There we go. Now we gotta make it a floor. And people in my comments have asked me, have you ever built a bat house? I have. Never once got used, so that's why I don't make them anymore. There's so many spots here in the woods again that they just don't really use them. So, not really a point in making them. I can't believe I didn't notice that earlier. This makes a perfect line, the shadow. Nice. I love working with wet pressure treated wood. It's almost impossible to split it. Now on the back, doesn't have to be perfect because we're just going to make a back. Just like this, just to anchor it to a tree. I haven't built birdhouses in years, so I'm a little bit rusty. I'm sure a lot of you are probably going to comment if I didn't say this. I didn't need the back wall because this could have been the back wall. But I haven't made birdhouses in years, so just picking this back up. Yeah, this birdhouse looks a lot better than that other one, but they don't really care. All right. Now this one, we will give it another tiny hole. Maybe a songbird will use it. I think in this video I want to make one more house and I want to make it extremely tiny. A songbird might like that even better. That is 6 1/4, so 3 1/8 is where the hole's gonna go. We're not gonna hit one again, are we? Does that go in crooked? It might go in crooked and miss it, thankfully. I don't know. Should have looked at that first. I'll get better by my next time. Hit one? Nope, did not hit any of the screws. It was just going slow from that last screw. That last screw on this house literally wore off the teeth on the blade. So it's like, that's done. But these, I believe, were cheap from Harbor Freight, so the bit maybe only cost $2, so this house is not that bad. I actually really like that one. It's unique with that roof. I want to go build one more, and I want to make it very, very tiny. Wow, that only took 12 minutes. Let's see what we're going to do with try to make a really tiny house this time. And then maybe we'll make a video another day if you guys like this one, and I'll make a very big house. So, let's see what we're going to do. I think the interior of this one we're going to make only 2.5 instead of 4. Make it very small. 2.5 and 5. And then what would the front of that be? So the front of this. All right. Let's see how it goes. And also let's see if we can use a couple less screws this time. Yeah, this will be very small for like a Finch. Hopefully not too small. But I actually built birdhouses out of highway compression blocks when they were getting rid of guardrails or replacing guardrails. They didn't want them, so I asked, can I have a few of these? And I made birdhouses out of them. And those compression blocks are made out of PVC. They'll be there for a while. Birds actually lived in them, and they were tiny. It was usually a wren that was living in them. And I think a sparrow even squeezed into that tiny little hole too. Ah, we cracked it. Ah. I guess this house is a little too small to handle that. All right, so how many inches was this that I just made? 4. We got to do pilot holes. See, that's what happens. I guess that's good that I showed what happens. Need another piece. So, and these right here, these can be screwed back together with a pilot hole too. They could be. So this time we gotta drill a pilot hole first. So we do gotta get that bit back out. Not going to sink it much because it'll probably crack again. All right, now the other side. Do that one too. And I'm not going to do it the same spot because multiple holes in the same grain also makes it more likely. There we go. Now we'll use an actual piece for the back. Just cut the little scrap off. This is going to be a very tiny house. This is kind of funny how that's going to go on there like that. Yeah, it's going to be very tiny, this house. So, how big do we need for the bottom? 3.5. We don't need such a big back, so we'll just cut it off of that. And this is even smaller than the length of the wood, so I gotta cut that piece again. There we go. Definitely gotta do pilot holes on this because this is very, very small piece of wood. Nice. Now let's see what we can do. Any of these fit in here nicely? Uh-oh. That was already cracked. I saw that a minute ago. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much of a problem. Yeah. Oh, that broken piece is actually perfect for this. Wow. So even with a pilot hole, this one's still got a crack. Or was that before I started doing the pilot holes? Now this screw will strengthen up everything from that crack on the side, so it doesn't have to be fixed or anything. Yeah, that'll be fine. See how it cracked, but now it's being held? This will be high up on a tree, it won't matter. I don't want to do it from this side, so I only gonna put one in there. I want to use a smaller screw there because that's gonna protrude so far into that house that a bird might not use it. Is this screw got too small of a diameter for that hole? No, seems to be fine. It's got a giant head, so I can actually turn it in there most of the way. But I need a screwdriver because this is not a star. Although I like the star screwdriver so much better. This is a Phillips. This one. It doesn't gotta hold any weight, it's just holding on a little decorative roof that doesn't really matter. And high up on a tree, you won't see that orange screw. All right, last hole of this burned out one. And then this one will go in the trash. It's gonna struggle, it's gonna take forever to make this hole, I know that. Then we'll go hang them out in the woods right now. Just taking a look, no screws anywhere near it. I actually eyeballed it perfect. It's still not that dull. Look at that. Well, it's going through much faster than I thought. Wow, that actually did really well. I can't believe it went through so well. Because compared to these, it's literally missing both blades. But it went through that perfect. Wow. Now these houses are not meant to be perfect. I'm just trying to save some scrap. But I know I'll have so much criticism in the comments. for making them like this and saying I'm doing things wrong, but I haven't made birdhouses in years, and I'm just catching back up. I used to make a lot of good ones, but now I'm just trying to figure that out again. With my finger, I'm like deburring the inside because it punched through the back, leaving a bunch of like sharp spots. It's actually closing the diameter of the hole. That's why I go back and forth with the blade trying to deburr it with that first. But that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and put a couple screws and let's head out into the woods. All right, let's take our houses into the woods and see what tree we can put them on, maybe. And when I put them on a tree, I always try to leave it a little bit loose too, so the tree can grow around it. Preferably, we'll put them on a dead tree. Even though I had the camera there plugged in, it's still consuming power faster than it's going in. Same thing that happened camping last week, and the camera died when I was sleeping. This one's actually very, very tiny, but you see, the screw right here, it cracked it. The screw split it, even though I drilled a pilot hole. Did I drill a pilot hole on that, or was that before? I don't know, but that is now reinforced by the screw up here, so it's fine. See? There's a screw holding both parts, so that'll never fall out. And a little decorative roof. It's better than this stuff going into the landfill. And maybe some bird will actually use them. I thought of songbirds today because I saw a bunch of chickadees today. I was actually copying their noise when they go, how do they do it? It's like, something like that. And they actually did it right back to me. So maybe they'll use these. Hopefully, like the internet says, it says that 1 1/8 is uncomfortable to a sparrow, but those songbirds should like it. You know what I just thought of that I want to make next time we make birdhouses? I want to make a community house. A birdhouse that has like multiple compartments. A lot of birds will actually live together. I know the sparrow and the invasive starling, those things will live in a house like that. Like a really big house that might have like half a dozen holes or even a dozen holes with all individual compartments. A lot of birds don't mind living near each other, and they'll actually be fine with that. So that right there is about 7.5 feet off the ground. And we got another one right here going. Look at that. Right up into the tree. And once I put it in, I back it up a little bit. Just loosens it from the tree a little bit. Right here next to the pallet house. And this tree here, if we back up a little bit, there's the camera. Oh, it's recording me. If we get back from the pallet house a little bit, and we look up in this tree, there's a security camera. I removed that's just a security camera housing. I removed the lens on the front of it. Thought something might live in it, but again, it's made out of metal, and a lot of birds won't use that as a house, especially out here with so many natural options. Now, once those houses become weathered after like a year, they'll become basically invisible on the trees, which is exactly the look I'm going for. Let's go in here and brush off the saw a little bit. The best way to clean off a saw like this, and actually I'm going to do it because it's more neat, and I can also clean the whole floor. I'm going to start the air compressor. We can use the air gun. While the air compressor is charging up, I'll get the stuff off the floor. We can just sweep it out with the air compressor. So an air compressor, you always want to drain it when you're done so it doesn't build condensation, because see how nice and painted it looks? Someone who doesn't take care of it, it'll look nice and painted, but it'll be rusting on the inside. Underneath here, there's a little tiny cap. Yep, it's open. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now it can build pressure. If you don't release that, it'll fill with water because it creates condensation when you pressurize. So Hey, this will be a video for another day. We should probably change the oil in this thing, in the gearbox. All right, let's start it up. And that should be enough. So these things tangle a lot, and they're so hard to untangle, these type of air hoses. But you know what the amazing thing is? These things were so cheap. My dad bought them at Harbor Freight like 15 years ago. And they tangle, but he thought this would like crack and become brittle, this plastic, but never did. Here we go. The other one, some stupid bug made a nest in there. What kind of bug makes little nests out of mud in crevices? They do it all over the siding of the house. I haven't actually swept like this in a while. If I remember, it actually sometimes makes a mess, like blowing it around. But this is good for cleaning off things like the saw, using an air gun. That's what you do when you might put it away for a long time. Nice thorough job of cleaning it. Go ahead and lift it back up onto that shelf. This thing's not as heavy as it looks because it's actually made out of aluminum. Imagine the older ones that weren't, but those weigh. Get it up on the shelf with its feet up there so it can't slide off. Perfect. Now, how does this work as a broom? I haven't done this in like years. Pretty good, except you can't bring things towards you like to drag them away from the walls very easy. Still very effective. Wow, that tank went down fast in pressure. I want to charge it back up because we're going to do something funny. Charge back up to 100 psi. It's 11 o'clock at night, but there's no neighbors around here for miles. I bet that doesn't sound nearly as loud as it really is on the camera, but that's funny to do with the air compressor. So, when we're all done with it, there's a tiny little valve under here you open up just to let it out. Just like that, and walk away until next time. Also, you never want to, even though it sounds fun, you don't ever want to just aim this at somebody. Even though it feels good on your leg or whatever, imagine a little teeny chip or rust from inside the tank or anything that might be in the air coming out at that speed. And I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.